GradingPal is an AI-powered teaching assistant specifically designed to help teachers with the workflow around grading. It gives high-quality, rubric-aligned scoring and great feedback for students. In this video, I'll show you how GradingPal can even grade video submissions. Video assignments are powerful, but grading them can be exhausting. You might be pausing, rewinding, taking notes, and then trying to stay consistent across the range of the whole class's video submissions. Let me show you what it actually looks like to grade a student video submission using GradingPal, while keeping my teacher judgment in the loop. I'm going to start by showing you how I can quickly set up this kind of assignment. Here I am on GradingPal's assignment wizard. For setup, I'm going to scroll to video and audio and click next. Now, you can use AI to help you create an assignment. I've shown that in many videos. This time, I'm going to click on I have an assignment, and I'm just going to show you that I can paste a description in there. Like, let's say I have it over here in my Google Drive. I'm navigating off screen, but you get the idea. Navigating to Google Drive, I'm copying, and I'm just going to click paste, and I have my assignment there, right? So it says 1 minute historical video, grade level 9 to 10, US history, make a claim. This is what you must do in your video. You see the guidelines there. Okay. And I'm going to click continue. Okay. If this was an assignment where you were asking the students to refer to texts, you would select files and upload them here. All right. This is a page where you have the chance to review the assignment details. I'm going to click next, create rubric. All right. If you have a rubric that your district or your school requires you to use, you would upload here, import from file, PDF or Google Drive. If you are a repeat user of GradingPal, then reuse existing means you can find a rubric in GradingPal that you've already used. In this case, I'm going to use AI Generate, and I want to show you how I help it focus with a detailed prompt. So look, I've given it a prompt that says, hey, this video submission is just 1 minute. So don't worry too much about elaboration. I'm saying that because in other assignments, that's one of the main things I care about, elaboration. Here I'm saying, at least keep in mind when you're grading this AI that the context is that there's 1 minute. What's a reasonable amount of elaboration? So I'm saying focus on clarity and organization and effective communication with oral language. That's the core of it. Generate rubric. All right, now I have an opportunity to review my rubric, and I think it's a teacher's responsibility to review the rubric if it was created by AI. So let's look at this. The criterion 1 is historical claim. Criterion 2 is historical evidence. Criterion 3 is reasoning and analysis. Criterion 4 is oral communication and organization. Criterion 5 is time management. So it seems like the AI followed my directions about what to focus on. Let's look a little more deeply maybe at like historical claim. A clear claim, level 3, 15 points would be states a reasonable claim that identifies a specific cause. The stance is clear to the viewer. Okay, what would be even a little bit better than that? States a highly clear, specific, and arguable claim within the first 15 seconds. I love that. There's a clear like meeting standards feel about level 3, and then you can see why level 4 is like even better than that. So that's really nice. Let's look at the progression maybe in one more, like historical evidence. Actually, let's go ahead and look at oral communication and organization. So level 3, 20 points would be the speech is easy to understand and follows a basic structure. The student may rely slightly on notes, but is clearly speaking naturally rather than reading a full script. Okay, it'll be interesting to see how AI can judge that, right? Let's look at what's even better than that. Level 4, 25 points. Speaks clearly and maintains eye contact with the camera. Uses brief notes for guidance, but does not read from a script. The argument follows a logical flow. Introduction, evidence, conclusion. All right, now I have the opportunity to give some parameters about the feedback. Do I want my feedback to be concise or detailed? Do I want it to be rigorous, balanced, or encouraging? I'm gonna say, let's make the feedback detailed and let's stick with it balanced. Yeah, I think this is good, right? And I'm ready to upload submissions. There are different ways that students can get work in here, right? Either you as the teacher can control everything and upload the submissions on their behalf. I'm going to do that right now. You can also connect students to GradingPal so that students will upload their own work. You'll see that option here. And then a third option is that you can make this Google Classroom integrated. And then students can submit their work in Google Classroom and it will be pushed back to GradingPal. And if you do it just the right way, grades will be pushed back to Google Classroom. More on that in another video. But for now, I'm going to upload the submission. Now you can see the AI review is in progress. It will change to teacher review required when the AI is done grading, because we believe that teachers need to review everything before returning it to students. Once the video uploaded, GradingPal was able to analyze the submission and draft rubric-aligned scores and feedback based on what the student actually said. Let's go ahead and look at the submission here as it looks in GradingPal. Now we've clicked in to see my video submission, my video submission as a student, and we should be able to watch it here and give you some pointers about looking at the scoring and the feedback. Hi, I think the most important cause of the American Revolution was taxation without representation. After the French and Indian War, Britain needed money, so they passed new taxes on to the colonies. One example was the Stamp Act, which required colonists to pay taxes on newspapers and legal documents. The colonists were angry because they didn't have any representatives in Parliament, so they had no say in these laws. This mattered because colonists believed that taxes should only be approved by elected representatives. Since Britain ignored their protests and kept taxing them anyway, many colonists began to feel that their rights were being violated. All right, so that shows you how a video submission from a student can be displayed in GradingPal. And now I'll show you how GradingPal can read that video submission and score it, right? We see for the historical claim here, 20 out of 20. We can still see all the rubric levels if we need a reminder about, what the different rubric levels mean. We can also see AI generated reasoning with evidence to explain why the student got 20 out of 20 in that rubric criterion. Let's scroll down and look at some others. There's historical evidence. Again, I can see all of the rubric levels. I can see an explanation with reason and evidence of why the student got the score they did. For example, here it says the student identifies a highly specific piece of historical evidence, the Stamp Act, to support their claim that taxation without representation was the primary cause of the American Revolution. They provide accurate details about the act, noting that it required colonists to pay taxes on newspapers and legal documents. So you can see here very detailed information to help a teacher understand why AI chose the level it did. A moment ago, we were talking about the scores and explanations for the scoring. Now, let's look at the student feedback. The students are going to be really interested in this, right? There's overall feedback, and in this case, there's targeted comments, okay? You can see the targeted comments have timed tags here at the bottom. This comment is about 3 seconds in. This comment is about something I said 15 seconds in. You also see little cues here in the timeline of the video, right? At 3 seconds, it says, you successfully established a clear and direct claim right at the start. You can see that in the video timeline. It's the same words over here. You successfully established a clear and direct claim right at the start. So each time I hover over one of these icons in the video timeline, I will see the corresponding feedback. If I click on one, like you just saw me do, I clicked on this third one here, it speeds up to that part of the video where the next feedback item is relevant, and it shows that part of the video. So let's look at the feedback. The overall feedback says your submission is well organized and fits perfectly within the suggested time frame. Okay, you clearly followed the structure, right? Your delivery was professional. Now, to reach the next level of historical sophistication, there we go. There's that word again. To go from a 3 to a 4, to go from good to great, a high school student needs to be more sophisticated and nuanced. I guess I do too, right? That's fine. Overall, this was effective and historically accurate. I'm going to stop there. I could go on and on. There's great feedback. It connects directly to my video, and you've seen me play around with how to visualize it, clicking on the timeline to find that place in the video where the feedback is relevant. Remember, you stay in control as the teacher. Nothing is final till you approve it. Sometimes I'll make a small edit. This one is so small, it's kind of nitpicky. Where it says, this effectively bridges your evidence to your claim, I don't like the use of the word bridges there. I think it's kind of like a sloppy passive voice almost. I might just say connects, right? This effectively connects your evidence. And this is the way I talk in class. This effectively connects your evidence back to your claim, right? Because they said the claim at the beginning, right? It's a small change. It's almost nitpicky. Look, I could even edit the timestamp if there was a mistake there, but I don't need to. It's right on. Save changes. You can see that this is going to make grading video assignments way more manageable, right? You're not starting from scratch after watching every video. It's well graded to begin with, and then you get to review and focus on the kids' thinking in like a little more teacherly way and less the grading way, right? The grading's done. You can be a teacher again. Video and audio assignments reveal so much student thinking, but they're usually one of the hardest things to grade consistently. This workflow lets you use your professional judgment instead of just note-taking. And like I always say, when you spend less time on the grading, you have more time to sit next to a kid and help them improve their work. If you're using video submissions in your classroom, GradingPal helps you grade them accurately, consistently, fairly, and way faster than you ever could on your own. Give it a try for yourself at gradingpal.com today.